In this video, I'm going to be discussing how to solve one-step inequalities. Now, just a review of what are inequalities, we have 4 different inequalities that we like to talk about. So we have the less than, the greater than, less than or equal to, and we also have the greater than or equal to. And if you'd like to see how to graph inequalities, you can go watch my other video that describes how to graph these, but what we're going to focus on is how do we algebraically solve these. Now, really, solving inequalities is the same idea as solving an equation. And so the big thing to remember is when we're solving for inequalities, basically you solve for the variable as if there were an equal sign. So do the opposite operations. And if you've watched the video on the foldable, it's the same steps as solving the foldable, except now it's an inequality instead of an equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and solve a few examples and then give you a chance to do the same. So the first part, let's solve this. I've got x minus 8 is less than 5. So I'm still going to draw my brick wall, but this time I'm going to draw my brick wall through the inequality. And to undo minus 8, we add 8 to both sides, and that tells me that x is less than 13. So my solution here are all the numbers smaller than 13. So this could be 12, 11, so on, or any number really, really close to 13, like 12.9 repeat, or 12.999, something like that. Let's try this one. I've got 2 is greater than or equal to 3 plus x. So I need to move this 3, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. And so I get negative 1 is greater than or equal to x. And so x in this case is smaller than negative 1. So I'm looking at numbers like 0, or sorry, not 0, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, so on, so on, so on. Smaller than negative 1. Let's try these two. So I've got a over 4 is less than or equal to 10. So I need to undo this divide by 10. So I'm going to multiply by 4, or sorry, undo the divide by 4. So I multiply and I get a is less than or equal to 40. And the last one, undo times 5, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by 5. So I have x is less than 5. So that's the beginning idea of how to solve an inequality. Now here are 4 examples. I want you to pause the video and solve them. So let's go ahead and solve these. So I'm going to, again, start with my brick wall and undo these operations. So to undo minus 5, I add 5 to both sides. So I get 10 is less than x. I'll do this one next. So I've got 5 is less than x over 2. So I undo this divide by 2 by multiplying. And so, conveniently, again, I get 10 is less than x. Well, that's kind of funny. Over here, I have a plus 12, so I need to undo plus 12 with minus 12 to both sides. So that gives me x is greater than or equal to 7. And last but not least, I've got 3x is greater than or equal to 15, so I need to undo this 3. Divide by 3, so x is greater than or equal to 5. So that's really the beginnings of solving inequalities. Now I want us to do a word problem. So the hard drive on your computer has a capacity of 120 gigabytes. You have used 85 gigabytes. You want to save some home movies to your hard drive. What are the possible sizes of the video collection you can save? Now I want to dissect this problem a little bit and show you why it is an inequality. So ultimately we're trying to find the possible sizes of our home video. So what we're going to do, let's define X as, we'll say, available space. So this will be the available space on our hard drive that we're trying to calculate. Now really, the big phrase or big letter that sticks out here is that S, where it says sizes. That means we can have more than one answer. And typically, when we have more than one answer, that implies it's going to be an inequality. So I'm going to set up an inequality with the information I have. We have used 85 gigabytes, and the total is 120 gigabytes. So I know it's going to look something like this. I've got 120 over here. Then I have to do something with X plus 85, because the available space plus the space I've used is going to be related to 120. Now here's the thing. We could, if we wanted to, have this value be exactly 120. We could try and get as much space out of it as possible, but that might be difficult considering video length and size and so on. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set this less than or equal to. Because this can never be greater than 120. Our computer isn't magically going to attain more memory. So we have our available space plus the space we used is less than or equal to 120. And then we're going to go ahead and solve this. So I subtract 85 from both sides. And so what I get here is I get X is less than or equal to 35. So it's asking what are the possible sizes of the home video collection you can save. And so we need to say something like the collection can have a size of 35 gigabytes or less. And that answers the question. It says the collection can have a size of 35 gigabytes or less, which is what we were originally looking for. So that is a brief tutorial on how to solve basic inequalities. There's more to it, but we'll get to that as we go on.